Hey guys, what's going on? Lucky G7 is back again to give you guys another Eden's Hero chapter live stream discussion. And I'm honestly at a loss for words right now. I really am, because this chapter by itself, I mean, I'm trying to figure out the right words to say, because there is so much to be discussed with this chapter. And I think it's best I start from the beginning. I think it's honestly best that I start this discussion off from the beginning. So, chapter 203, we got this beautiful cover page of Rebecca with the chapters that are called 203 Ziggy. Now, let me just say this. I feel like it's a little bit misleading, and I say a little bit, considering that we don't get the stuff with Ziggy until like towards the latter half of the chapter. But it's like half true. I say that because you're kind of like thinking, oh, we're gonna get something huge with Ziggy, and we do. We get something extremely huge. But as I said, we'll get to it. So, chapter opens up. We see Laguna and Jin are coming in to save Holy from Dead and Crow. But how? Wind ether gear. How can you use your ether gear in here? What's an ether chamber canceller? Is what Laguna says. And then Jin says, well, technically we're just absorbing the chamber electromagnetic electronic signal. And then we see Dead Crow, seeing the Eden Zero ship. Clean. My wind snatch, it takes everything. Your ether chamber, I can cancel its effects. And then Connor, shields restored. I'll be taking us up. As it's happening, you see the Eden Zero ship just like fly out, like straight up. And then you see Herman and Jin and Laguna. Inside the infiltration was a success. Cut to this. Back, we're getting back to Dead and Crow and Laguna, Jin, and Holy. You're absorbing my electronic signal. What monsters are on your crew? And this leads to a rather amusing moment. I would say this leads to a rather amusing moment between Jin, because he straight up says, no one talks about my sweet, adorable sister like that. And then Laguna's like, it's true. Clean is very cute. You get Jin going like, Laguna, you have no right to look at Clean like that. So, Clean X Laguna? Maybe sort of. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. And then as Holy hears the word sister, she kind of thinks back to, her sibling. Does this mean I can use my ether gear now? Interestingly, if you see Dead and Crow getting melted away as she says meld, which, when that happens, He melts away. Laguna's like, that's a pretty diabolical power. Look who's talking. This isn't his main body. That figures. Why didn't you fire the cannon, is what Holy says. We don't pull the trigger on our crewmates, no matter what's going on. And Holy says something that should be noted, because she says, I'm not on your crew. Agreed. I never thought of you as one of us either, and neither has Jin. But Shiki considers you a friend, and we respect Shiki's wishes. That's all. And you get this panel of Holy just like giving the eye. It's not like a eye. It's like kind of it's that expression where you're like kind of like taking things into account. And Laguna says the Eden's Zero is focusing on defense now. And since we are inside the guy, Jin says, let's find his power source and see if we can slow him down. And Holy, we don't see anything from her, but just, from, you know, a small close up shot. And she says, all right. Cut over to uh, Wise taking away some of the mothers. Not exactly taking away, but bringing them down. He's bringing down some of the mothers. And goes, okay, that should be all of them. Happy? And the night gear? Pino says it's under remote control. It will arrive shortly. And then Wise looks at it. Looks over, you see Rebecca. Wise, are you sure you're okay with this? And okay, this honestly is kind of awkward, just a little bit, because and it's funny because that's exactly what Wise says. He's like, it's kind of awkward to see my mom naked. She died a long time ago. I thought she had been buried on Norma back then, but here she is, still in one perfect piece. And likewise, we see Herman looking over at not Herman, Hamura looking over at Kurenai, and she recounts like the very, very last thing she told Kurenai. I humbly request with all my heart that you stay out of my life. And she takes that as a reflection because she says, Mother, we each walked a separate path, but the fact remains that you endured painful labor to give me life. I hope that you rest in peace. And she also says, for there is too much death around me. We're looking over at this. You see Rebecca looking out into the distance. So many mothers here in one place, and Ziggy wanted to use them all. I don't know how he brought them here, but every single person here had a child. He ripped away a piece of their family. I can't put things back the way they were, but I can stop Ziggy from taking advantage of you. And that's the last thing Rebecca says in the chapter because she says, Shiki, you have to beat Ziggy. And what a transition this was. Because we go from this to Shiki's reaction. Shiki's shocked reaction from the last chapter. And we see, the mask breaking apart. And now we see the face in full because we saw a glimpse of the face in 202. But now we're seeing it fully. Now we're seeing the full face of what appeared to be Shiki. Actually, not appeared to be. It is Shiki. It 100% is Shiki. And I gotta say, like the way this was drawn, I gotta get my props up to Hiro. I really, really do because this is amazing. It is honestly and truthfully amazing. And Shiki, like all of us, is like you look like me. What's going on? And Ziggy says one thing. He's like, everything is connected. And that's something to keep in mind about because that's something Ziggy mentioned like a while back. So it's not like the first time he said it. Everything's connected. And then we go back to what everything's been leading up to 20,000 years later on the planet Eden. We have recovered two human bodies discovered in the out cosmos. Human? Seriously? We have confirmed that the woman is dead. We will remove all radioactive material and begin the autopsy. The man is alive. A living human? Only authorized personnel beyond this point. These are some serious entries. Are you sure he's alive? We are still getting life readings, and obviously we can tell this is Shiki, but dude, like just look at these scars on his body. Like I remember reading this and it kind of took me aback because I was like, Shiki went through some shit. He did. And then you notice he's trying to say something. And you're seeing like his life readings like elevate highly. And then one of the researchers is like, he's trying to say something. Raise the ether saturation to 70%. Give him some protein. D- do you understand our language? Then Shiki's there. And interestingly enough, with Shiki, if you notice, he doesn't have an arm of sorts. Like he's amputated on one side. I think both of his arms are gone, right? Let me see. No. No. It's only his right hand. Because if you notice the difference between his right hand and his left hand, it looks as if his left hand is still there. At least from what I'm looking at. At least. Is it? Yeah. You know, just about. What, what is your name? And this is important because Shiki then starts to respond like, Key. I can't hear that. I didn't hear that. Can you say it again? Mm, Shiki. Key. Key. And oh my god, like, and then you get this. He opens his eye, just one eye. The other eye is like gone. Ziggy. And a detail I thought that was interesting here is that he still has his bandage. So he never took that off. And I want to say he didn't take the bandage off until after the Alloy War. So if I'm to determine something, I want to say this is the Shiki that made the choice of staying behind. I think. Because considering that his other eye is like just gone, it is definitely after the fight with Shura. Definitely. But I don't know, it's an interesting take, I'll say. And as we get that, we cut back in time to present day Ziggy. And he says, I am from 20,000 years in the future. I'm you, Shiki. And oh, the fact that we're left on this, especially considering that this is the end of the volume, there's a lot you could say. There's honestly a lot to really take into consideration here. Because we finally get to see who's behind the mask of Ziggy. Remember, all this time with Ziggy was just a robot. And then now, you know, the mask is off. And it's Shiki from the future. And this has a lot, I mean, a lot of ramifications of the story. And honestly, looking through like all the plot points and everything Heroes kind of laid out, I think it makes sense. I honestly think it makes sense because I've seen some people going like, really, like we're doing the whole Shiki Ziggy twist, and I'll be honest, at first I wasn't exactly on board with it because I was like, see, I don't know how I would feel about that, but this is different because it's not just a, oh, it's a alternate Shiki. It's also the fact that this is him from the future. It it very much reminds me of Danny Phantom. Like if y'all remember Ultimate Enemy with Dark Danny versus present day Danny, that's exactly what this whole scenario reminds me of. And I was like, yo, and Dark Danny versus Danny Phantom, like the Ultimate Enemy, like that had some pretty dark shit to it. Really, really dark shit. And we're only getting just a glimpse of it in this chapter. We're only seeing a glimpse in like the final pages. But and the fact that Hero said, you know what, I'll give y'all a tease for the end of this volume, and then 204 is going to be really special because 204 will be the beginning of volume 24. And from what I hear, the chapter title for 204 is going to be Origins. So, what I expect for that is mostly centered on, you know, Ziggy's origins, and that does fall in line with something Hiro said. And that is that Ziggy's backstory from the get go was planned. Straight up. That was planned. And you can pinpoint that back to the volume 20 afterwards, where Hiro said the time skip was planned well in advance, as is was Shiki getting older, and by proxy, Ziggy's backstory, which is going to culminate with, you know, Shiki and Ziggy like settling things in this arc. And I don't know. It's a really, really interesting position to put your story here because how rare is it in a story where you have your protagonist and your antagonist and they're both the same person? Like, it's a really hard thing to pull off, but if you're able to do it, then I think this can do a lot for the story. I really, really do. And like I said before, look at Danny Phantom, the Ultimate Enemy. Danny Phantom versus Dark Danny. That's a prime example of your protagonist and your antagonist being the same person. And what this could mean for the story of Being Zero. I mean, I'll say this. It's gonna push the story in a really, really big direction. And I honestly can't wait. I honestly cannot wait to see what we get. So, my thoughts on the chapter. Um, just to kind of wrap it up, I'll say this. I like the stuff with Holy. I really do. And I do think it might potentially set up two things. Either Holy's not going to make it out of this, or she could potentially join the crew. Potentially. Depending on what happens. But those are the two outcomes I could see with Holy. One of the two. And then there's the stuff with, you know, Rebecca, Wise, Hamora. Like, it was really nice getting this little send off moment with, Wise and his mother. And then I think the biggest one for me for that moment was Hamora and Current Eye. Just getting that little moment right there. But really, the big highlight of this chapter definitely is the big reveal for Ziggy. And if I'm tallying it all together, I would say that this chapter of Eden Zero is an amazing chapter. It's an amazing chapter of Eden Zero, and I cannot wait to do another live stream discussion on the chapter. So we're in a crazy position right now. We're in a super, super crazy position with Eden Zero. And I want to know what you guys' thoughts are. How do y'all feel about this revelation of Ziggy being Shiki from the future? And what do you guys think this is going to do moving forward? Because here's the thing, the story ain't finished yet. We still got the Yukino Cosmos, Mother, and somehow all of that's going to encompass the Grand Shiki Cosmos. That's going to be super fascinating to see when we get to it. And I mean, look, I could sit here speculating on what we could get, but honestly, the best thing to do right now is just wait. And like I said before, overall, the chapter is amazing, and that's all I gotta say. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are on the chapter. What was your favorite part about it? And aside from that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm Lucky G7. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more Eden Zero, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.